Animals entertain us. They teach us. They inspire us. What can we learn from them? Are we really so different from them? Can the largest questions that humanity faces be explained through animals? This is Animals and Us. Let's think like animals today.
The question whether or not animals have emotions to me is kind of a no-brainer in the sense that, of course, animals feel basic emotions like happiness and sadness. I feel like animals do feel the basics. They don't feel the need to change whatever human they're in contact with. They appreciate them. They're happy to see them. They're glad when they get fed. They're glad when they're played with. They're glad when they're taken care of and talked to.
Do animals have emotions? I say yes. There's actually 2 studies that came out that showed that dogs and cats actually have musical preferences. And I think if you're going to have a preference for music, you have to have an emotional capacity to feel something in it. One of the studies looked at dogs in shelters and they liked reggae music and the sound of the human voice. So there are actually programs out there where you can just read to shelter dogs, and studies have shown that they become calmer and more joyful and become better candidates for finding a forever home.
So it kind of seems like even some scientists agree that animals do express emotions. But what can we learn about the human condition through the way that animals express emotions?
If you've ever been sad and noticed that your dog stands by your side more, you might even say that he acts concerned. Canines are often known for standing vigil over their owners' graves. No idea what she's doing.
Animals, especially those that have a bond with humans, are experts at expressing sympathy, sadness, and support, no matter what. This has even been documented in wild animals, like the well-known reports of elephants performing a ritual mourning when a member of the herd dies. A female orca in the Pacific Northwest mourned the loss of her newborn calf in what researchers called a tour of grief. The mother carried her deceased calf for at least 17 days and more than 1,000 miles. It is the longest documented grieving process in orcas.
While working at an animal rescue center in Texas, I helped care for the non-releasable permanent resident mountain lions. The ailing geriatric patriarch of the group was expected to pass any day, and he died during my shift. My coworker and I put the 2 female cougars that lived with the male cougar into the lockout and pulled the deceased cat's body against the fence so that the others could understand what happened and say goodbye. They approached the body and sniffed profusely. They yowled and paced and stretched for about 2 minutes. And then they seemed to accept what happened and moved away from the body. It was one of the most memorable work experiences of my life.
Have you ever felt more connected to an animal than another human? Maybe that relates back to the unconditional love we talked about in episode 2, that no judgment love they give us.
Pets don't give up on their human companions. They stick with us when we're happy and they stick with us when we're depressed. You know what, Clemmy? In fact, animals often mirror our emotions, showcasing signs of stress, anxiety, fear, and depression that reflect our own emotions.
So what can we learn from animal emotions about our own human way of life?
Animals teach us to live in the present. They inspire us to enjoy life and be playful. Exhibit A, Clemmy and her playful attitude, her little ramping and popcorning, which is spastic jumping that guinea pigs do when they're excited. And Clemmy does a lot.
Animals teach us not to hold grudges or have judgments against ourselves or others. They are living examples of forgiveness. They show us self-acceptance, how to be ridiculous and not give a care. Clemmy doesn't give a care. Never. Isn't that right?
They teach us to look outside of ourselves, beyond the world immediately surrounding us. They encourage us, by their very existence, to be less selfish.
What do you think?